Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gems Before Friends. We're on episode 16.
Woo
I am
woo.
here with my lovely co host, Queen Amg
Hello.
and Morbid Plum.
Hello.
And we have a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
I'm kind of glad we held off on recording because a lot has happened this
Yeah.
week.
Yep.
And we're going to discuss all the things. We had PTB, and we have our next chapter has been revealed, and it is going to be Alan Wake, which I'm
Round of
super
applause.
excited
I
about
know.
because I am the one that is playing.
She likes the Alan Wake.
I have not just Alan Wake, Remedy Entertainment makes amazing games, great story driven action games. So yes, I loved Alan Wake 1. And then from there played Control. I did not play them in order. Control, and then Quantum Break, and this fall Alan Wake 2 came out. And so a lot's been going on for Remedy, and all their games are great. I was kind of surprised to see it come in because Remedy is working on actually connecting their own games universe together. So all of their games are, or most of their games are connected. I'm really not sure if Max Payne is connected in. They're going to remake Max Payne. Max Payne 1 and 2 were like some of their first games back in the early 2000s. And then Alan Wake came out in 2010. And so just to kind of give a brief synopsis of what Alan Wake is about. Alan Wake is a writer. He has a best-selling series. It's a crime drama book. It revolves around a detective named Alex Casey. He's married to his wonderful wife, Alice, but he decides he wants to write something different, and basically he has writer block for a couple years. And so Alan Wake 1 is all about him and his wife going to this little town of Bright Falls to get away. His wife falls into Cauldron Lake there, and it turns out Cauldron Lake is basically kind of your portal to hell thing. There's the dark place,
As it
and
happens.
yeah, it is an entrance to what is called the dark place, which houses the dark presence. And Alan Wake 1 is all about him trying to get his wife back, and you find manuscript pages that kind of predict what's coming up next, and why flashlights are really important in Alan Wake, because that was part of the teaser that everyone caught on to. Behavior, you got to make your teasers a little harder. Everyone got Chucky.
Everyone got it.
I know, they figured it out.
Well, the thing with the Alan Wake one also in the teaser was there were pages on the desk.
There were
too,
pages,
so
yeah.
everyone was like, "Oh, it's Alan Wake!" Like it's
okay.
But so the enemies in Alan Wake are called the Taken. They're people that have been taken over by the dark presence, and so they have like this dark presence shield over them, so you have to burn them with the flashlight before you can shoot them. So
Whoa.
yeah. So that's the game mechanic in Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 1 is all about him saving his wife, and then we go into Alan Wake 2, just came out this fall. It's 13 years later. And Alan has been stuck in the dark place for 13 years and is continuing to try to get out. Alan Wake 2 has 2 protagonists. So I don't know if we'll see a legendary skin for Saga Anderson, who's the other person you play in the game. She's kind of the side of what's happening in real life at Bright Falls, and Alan's in the dark place. So you play both of them in both areas, which is really fun. I'm just going to say Alan Wake 2 is an amazing game. It's a masterpiece. It has won 3 awards at the game.
I was
The
about
Game
to
Awards
say that.
for a reason. Like,
Yes.
it is a great game. It's full on horror. It is survival horror, which they haven't done before. Like Alan Wake 1 is it's like Stephen King meets Twin Peaks. It has a lot of Twin Peaks vibes in it. But I wouldn't say it's like super scary. It's more supernatural-ish scary, and it's from 2010. It's like horror has amped up a lot since then. But I love Alan Wake 2. I can't wait. I just started a new Game Plus, so I'm playing through that. And Dead by Daylight, what they did with the lore, in short, we won't read through it all, but with Alan Wake trying to get out of the dark place in Alan Wake 2, he's trying to write his way out of the dark place. And so in the DBD lore, he basically kind of remembers this manuscript idea where it's basically the trials, right? There's generators, there's other people there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's trying to write that manuscript, that story to get him out. And that's what ends up taking him into the entities realm, is trying to write himself out of the dark place, but he just ends up in the entities realm.
So he kind of just writes himself into the realm then.
Mm-hmm.
Which you would think, like, I feel like the dark place in whatever realm the entity lives in, or the entity themselves, they're probably just like cousins.
Right?
Probably. They act,
They're related.
Yeah.
they are kind of similar, and then they're different because the entity, like, it seems has, like, of course, the trials. Like, it's kind of this group setting where the dark place, while you can meet other people there, if it's very individualized. It feeds on that person's fears and doubts and tries to get him into despair that way.
So kind of creates like their own personal hell, sounds
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
Alan's trying to write his way out. Basically, his writing kind of becomes reality, and it works in a loop. So he's been stuck there 13 years, and it's not like he's worked on one manuscript. He is like, every time he fails or he dies, it just starts over. It's a loop. He starts over again, and he doesn't always remember the loops. And that's in the DBD lore too. It talks about the dark place makes him forget. So sometimes he'll be like, "This seems familiar, but I can't remember it." And it's because the dark place has him forget. So
It sucks.
he has probably died thousands of times in the dark place.
Oh,
kind
well,
of
he'll
like
fit
what?
right in the row in the.
I know.
Yeah, kind of like what the.
I mean, they don't say, but the assumption is, like, he's been there 13 years, and really there's no, for, I get the impression, like, you don't grow old in the dark place. Like, time is very different there. So,
Well, great. He'll have fun in the fog. He'll
I
fit right
know.
in.
Yeah, so very much like the trials where they're just constantly getting killed over and over again, the survivors.
I guess let me add that the Alan Wake in DBD is from Alan Wake 2. Cosmetic, his clothes are all from the second game. They talk about that they have the likeness that's based on the actor Ilkka Vilja. He's a Finnish actor. And so with Alan Wake, there's two actors. There's Ilkka Vilja is the physical actor, and then they got the voice actor Matthew Portera and to do all the voice lines and the screams and the cries for Alan Wake.
That's pretty cool. I like it when they get like the original people.
And it says he also recorded the material for the trailer, for all the trailers. So it's really awesome. They got, everyone in on doing the character.
Yeah, and kind of like as Mocking said, because we still were looking at social media and people are like, "What's Alan Wake? We don't know Alan Wake." The game itself did very well at the 2023 Game Awards. It won for Best Game Direction, it won for Best Narrative, and it also won for Best Art Direction. And it had a whole spotlight, a musical number
Oh my God,
during the Game
yes.
Awards, which was just chef's kiss. It was
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
beautiful.
I know. I wonder, people who haven't played Alan Wake 2 are like, what is this on the music? Because it is an amazing section in the game, the musical number. So yeah, it's one of the loops Alan goes through at the dark place, and it's his life story told in a musical form. And it's a great part of the game where Remedy has been really working on blending gameplay and live action. That's a major part of that in the game. I don't want to give too much away on Alan Wake.
I know,
but
I was looking at I was looking for good artwork and just checking out the game, and some stuff I was like, is this a render or is this like real life? It looks amazing.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think there's a reason it did so well.
Oh
And
yeah,
in the
for
musical
sure.
number, they used the voice actor and the physical actor as well. The character actor were both in the musical number, which was really cool.
It was really cool because they actually came out with, before the Game Awards, there's a music video for the song Herald of Darkness. One of the first comments on the YouTube video is like, "You better perform this at the Game Awards, and you better have all the actors and have the band." And that's what happened, and it was amazing. They even had Sam Lake was out there. So Sam Lake is the creative director, but he's also the physical actor for Alex Casey, Also, back in the day of Max Payne, he was the physical actor for that as well.
Okay.
But he's the creative director, and he has kind of made cameos in. I know he has one in Quantum Break. So there's an Easter egg in Quantum Break. It's of Alex Casey and his partner Saga Anderson. It's like Alan's book as a TV show, I believe, and he played Alex Casey there, which is why he's Alex Casey in Alan Wake 2. So that was cool to see Sam Lake out there because he is in that part of the game, the musical part as well.
They
And
did
he
a
was
very
so
good job.
happy. You could see the
Yeah.
happiness on his face.
Aw, yeah.
I think that covers Alan Wake. And if you're not interested, I definitely recommend playing the Remedy games. All of them are amazing. But of course, if you're just wanting to catch up on lore for Alan Wake to kind of understand, there's plenty of videos on YouTube to just dive into the lore. So
Yeah,
There's
and don't feel
probably a
bad.
wiki.
Yeah, I would say, and don't feel bad if you didn't know anything. I had to have Mocking explain to me,
We had that last night.
It's
We
like
did a
like
tutor session.
a
I
quick
know.
tutor session in Alan Wake because I've only ever heard of it. Well, I think I've heard of Alan Wake, the first one, but
Mhm.
you're the one that I know has played it, and so you're pretty much how I know about it.
I didn't play Alan Wake 1 until like 3 years ago, I think. So I'm not like someone that played it way back when it came out and has been waiting
Yeah.
13 years, luckily, I guess, because that would be hard. But
Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited. Like, it's pretty cool, and it's something they've branched out into like a different franchise. So
mhm.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, and I think this
And
also helps open the door for more video game franchises because we
Yeah,
haven't
for
seen too many.
sure.
We had Silent Hill, and I'm trying to think, do we have
Um,
any other good
Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil. Lots of Resident Evil.
But yeah, this is
So,
cool. I hope this brings, like you said, like more video game franchises to their eyes and be like, hey, maybe we should put this in the game.
well, we already know people want Five Nights at Freddy's, so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
kind of
Oh
surprised we didn't get
yes.
it with the movie coming out. But I don't
well, it
know.
already came out.
Well, I know it came out like this summer.
Mhm.
Like I'm surprised we didn't get something for that because oh my gosh, I can't even remember. A long time ago, there was the one teaser, and everyone thought it was Five Nights at Freddy's, and then it wasn't Five Nights at
Oh
Freddy's.
No,
yeah.
it was. Do you want to know who it was?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
know who
Skull
it was.
Merchant?
It
Yes.
was. Oh, I thought it was Trickster.
No, it was Lady Voldemort.
Because I thought for sure when Trickster was like coming out, it was a lot of recordings, and people were like, "Oh my God, could it be Five Nights at Freddy's?"
Oh, there
But
was the recordings, but yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, with Lady Voldemort though, it was the office. It was the blueprints with all the mechanical stuff.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's
Oh,
people
right.
were like, Five Nights at Freddy's.
The animatronics,
And
yeah.
yeah, the
boy, were they
animatronics.
disappointed.
Everyone is
So was
disappointed.
the whole world.
And she's still in the game. And she sucks, by the way. I played against her recently, and
She's still 3-genning.
Oh, well,
Look,
she puts
she's
her 8 drones over the 3 gens. Yes, it's great. They overlap too. Maybe they should fix that.
look, she's like Bruno from Encanto. We just don't talk about her.
Hey, that's a 10 out of 10 song though.
Oh, it is. I'm
It
just saying
is.
we don't
But
talk
we don't
about.
talk about.
Bruno. But Bruno was good. I would hang out with Bruno anytime.
This is true.
True.
Okay.
Her, on the other hand.
Okay, so should we talk? Well, let me think. Well, there are some leaks for what's coming out with the mid chapter with Alan Wake, some cosmetics. I guess let me cover this first and then we'll go into perks. According to DBD News, so leaks. True, not true. But they do have one legendary skin listed for Rose Marigold, which I'm kind of surprised. Not that she's a bad character, but she's not a main sub character. And then there's another legendary cosmetic that's unknown, and then 2 more cosmetics. And I would speculate that one of those will probably be like Alan Wake 1 cosmetic. The other one, maybe he has another outfit in Alan Wake 2 that's it's a throwback to the other Alan Wake game, American Nightmare, where he's got this white and black flannel shirt on and jeans. So it might be that one. I'm just speculating. And then the Iron Maiden collection is also coming out. So throw that in there. That's in the leaks. But also
Which I
2018.
forgot about.
I know everyone's forgotten about because we've been waiting for so long. They announced it
Mhm.
at anniversary. But Tome 18 is going to feature Alan Wake and Deathslinger. Minor characters will be Felix, Hillbilly, and Naya. All outfits a part of Inner Struggle collection, plus the Deep Rift and challenges. And there'll be Yujin and Clown Community skins available in the free track. So we'll get more
Nice.
Alan Wake because they have behavior said that going forward, right, that a tome after a new chapter, it'll include that character. So makes sense Alan Wake's already getting the tome because he just came out. So let's go into his perks, because I do have thoughts on his perks.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Our first one is Champion of Light.
Which you called.
I called it in our Discord. Well, okay, so Champion of Light is part of the song we talked about earlier, Herald of Darkness. One part of the lore I didn't mention is like Alan Wake has an evil doppelganger. It's basically the physical form of the dark presence takes on his likeness, and I just played Alan Wake American Nightmare, and so they've referenced this a lot. The Champion of Light is Alan, and the Herald of Darkness is the doppelganger known as Mr. Scratch. So it's like they have to, with the song and everything. Now I'm like, you have to have Champion of Light somewhere in this chapter. So we get it as a perk name, and this perk grants you additional movement speed while you're shining a flashlight. Actually, let me pull up the PTV notes because they give the actual percentage. While holding a flashlight, the perk activates when you're shining a flashlight. You have 50% haste, and when you blind the killer gains a 20% hindered for 6 seconds.
Woo, fight back.
Yeah. And then of course, but there is a cooldown. If you have it all the way up, it's 60 seconds. So you can't like hinder the killer over and over again. But this is really useful, probably like blinding the killer at a pallet, like so then you can get more distance and get away. And then while you're shining it, you move 50. Now the 50% haste, also keep in mind that's not your normal speed. It's when you're like moving, shining the flashlight speed. So you move a little bit faster. We have Boon Illumination. So, of course, you boon the totem, and it says the soft chimes ring out. Yay. But when you're inside the boon totem, any of the survivors, you see the aura of all chests and all generators in blue. That's map-wide, all of them.
Yep.
And if you have a lit boon totem, you cleanse or bless other totems up to 10% faster.
Which I forgot to try when we were playing last night.
Yeah, I saw Spooky. I watched Spooky's video.
Yeah,
last
he
night
did
after
it.
we got off. But he does do this. Like he finds a hex totem actually, but he goes and boons another totem first.
And then he goes back to cleanse it.
Yeah, to test it out, and he does.
Okay.
It's faster. That's very useful. So if you run inner healing with the boon, or just getting rid of other totems, and you have it up, it's faster. So yay. Okay, then we have Deadline. This perk activates when you're injured. Skill checks appear 10% more frequently when repairing or healing and appear in random places. The penalty for missing skill checks is reduced by 50%. Those are the perks. I'll let y'all go first. I do have thoughts, but Queen, what do you think? Or should we go through them one by one?
Yeah, let's go through them one by one.
Okay, so Champion Light, our flashlight perk, which is probably the most like lore accurate.
Yeah. I don't run flashlights. So this was not the perk that interested me the most. I do think it's funny how when Dead by Daylight on their website, when they announced Alan Wake, something that I don't know if they've done before, with each of his perks, they kind of threw in another perk that kind of synergized.
Yes.
So with Champion of Light, they were like, hey, run this with Hattie's perk Residual Manifest, and to give you guys an update what that was. That's when it is after every successful killer blind, the killer suffers from blindness. So essentially you would have blindness and you would have the hindered on there. But what's funny is when it came out, no one was like, let's run this with the Residual Manifest. Everyone was like, let's run this with Background Player. So I think that to me also shows kind of like the disconnect in how they thought this perk was going to be used, because people didn't want to, stack those, like the negative buffs. They were more like, let's see how fast we can go.
Yeah, or even flashbangs too.
Yeah, flashbangs.
I feel like things are never used the way behavior intends. They're like, oh, people are gonna love this and do this and this, and like, no, we're gonna abuse it.
Yeah, because some people, like, for example, like for me, I might not run a flashlight, but I run flashbangs, and there's blast mine, but there's really no point in using it there because it's with the gen and everything stationary. But I'll run like the little party crackers and stuff like that. I just think it was funny. It's interesting. I didn't really play around a lot with it in PTB. I think my favorite part of it is I think for this perk specifically, they, as Maki mentioned, they did make it lore accurate to Alan Wake, because in our Discord she was putting like her predictions for perks, and this was one of the ones
Yeah, it was
that came
great.
true. So I think that's what I like most about the perk. I do see the benefits of it in game, but I think it's funny how at least the community is intending to use it versus how I think behavior thought people were going to use it. So that's my thoughts on it.
For sure.
Okay, Morbid, do you have any thoughts?
I think I'm probably mostly agree with Queen because I'm the same. I don't really run flashlights because I'm awful at it, and so I was not like particularly super excited. I was like, oh yeah, flashlight thingy, but I'm sure someone will find use for it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will. I don't run flashlights that much either because I guess when we're playing, we're just trying to get gens done. I feel like we hardly get out, so it's like I'd rather bring a toolbox or a med kit. But I mean, I did run this in PTB, and I mean, I think people are going to get value out of it, especially people that like to go for those flashlight saves, because then you can save someone, and even though they do get stunned out of it, they'll still have a few more seconds of hindered, and that'll give the person that was being carried time to get away. And like I said, I think the most useful way to use this perk is at a pallet, because you want to get distance between yourself and the killer, and this will definitely help if you can slow them down and they have to break a pallet and then they're slow, and then you can hopefully get to the next loop. So, and of course, yeah, you have to have something with a flashlight with Alan Wake. My other prediction was flares. There were no flares. I was secretly hoping for like a new item to be brought into the game, like
Yeah, that would have been
evil.
cool.
Alan Wake does have flashbangs, but they also have flares. I don't know. I was just hoping for some sort of new
That would have been
item
interesting,
to like
having
spice up
flares.
the game a bit.
Yeah.
But let's talk about our next one, which is a boon. We haven't had a boon since.
Backtrack
Yoshi.
real quick.
Oh,
Something else you can run with the last perk is Chemical Trap as well.
Oh yeah, I saw.
That would be a good combo.
I was watching Rapid Main do that.
You can continue.
No, that's all good.
She has spoken.
I think there would be a lot of good synergy, and we can talk about this at the end. So, Boom Illuminations. This is the one where we see the gens and the chest map wide. Morbid, why don't you start? Thoughts?
Yeah, sure. So this is the one that I really played while we were doing the PTB, and I actually really liked it. Obviously, when you're in the range, you see an aura of everything. So the chest generators, well, I don't think you see totems, but it was kind of nice to be able to see everything. I'm like, oh, hey, that's over there, this is over there. And I think we even were able to see some of the 3 gens a little bit. And we also determined that this might be pretty helpful if you're playing solo queue and not with other friends, because you can be like, hey, I know where this is. And if I'm looking for a chest, I don't have to run a different perk for that and looking for generators. So I think it's kind of cool. And I forgot to try the part where if you have the lit totem, you can cleanse faster or blessed quicker. I forgot to try that, but it's fine. I liked it. It was I feel like it's a good perk. Hopefully, like many of the other boons, they don't mess with this one.
I don't see what they would mess with it, since really it's essentially deja vu with plunderers. If you think about it, it's like a mixture of the two.
For sure.
Deja vu plungers with like a bit of what's the perk that you cleanse totems faster?
Oh, it's.
I was about to say overzealous, but I don't think that's it.
Because I was also thinking.
Yeah, something.
I was also thinking of Felix's perk where you can see gens, but I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, but that one. Yeah. I forgot.
But it's only within a certain range. I think the cool thing about this perk is, one, you see everything at once. So
visionary. Sorry.
Yeah. So even when you're running Deja Vu, which one of us is pretty much always running,
Yeah,
again,
for sure.
it's just the 3 gen. So you're not seeing the gens around there. And so sometimes, like, we were playing a game last night on the game, and our 3 gen was all at the top. And even after we did a gen at the top, our 3 gen was still at the top. So then we're like, oh crap, we're going to have to do gen at the bottom to balance the top because we couldn't see them all at once. So I like the boon because, one, you can see everything all at once and you can really plan. So we were trying to do that with, okay, we could, if we do this gen and this gen, then we completely break any possible 3 gens, which was nice. So it's beneficial. Of course, you can run it with other boons. So, we were running it with the healing boon. We had exponential, shadow step. I did a full boon loadout, which made it nice because then you had a place to go to get healed. You had a place to go. We lost an Onryo we were playing against several times because we had a boon around Shack with Shadow Step, and the Onryo couldn't find us. So I think it synergizes well with the other boon perks, but it's definitely
agree.
good, I think, for solo because your whole team can go and take a look and see what's going on, and it gives a lot of information. I think it's helpful. It is, I feel like, a combination of other perks, and the big argument right now is, you can run that one or you could run perks that are maybe a little bit better, but I think it's situational. If you're running a Swift, I think it's good, and solo, I think it works well too. So I'm happy with it.
So DBD recommends pairing this boon with Hattie's other perk, Overzealous,
Mm-hmm.
which where you do gens a little bit faster after you bless a totem.
Which I think
Mm-hmm.
I ran instead of Prove Thyself, and it did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
don't,
look, overzealous, yeah.
which I never usually run. I usually run Prove Thyself just because we do things faster when we co-op. But yeah, I really liked it because I was like, hey, I did the totem. Let's go do a gen.
Yep. So yeah, I think this is it's not an overpowered perk at all. I think it's a good solo queue perk. It's a good information perk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, the downside is like with Deja Vu, you do get like a speed boost on repairing gens if it's one of the 3 gens. I feel like sometimes even with running Deja Vu, we still 3 gen because if we don't do the right one in the 3 gen, we get gen lock still. So I think seeing all the gens is more helpful. It's kind of like running a map almost, but everyone can see. So then if someone's like, I don't know where to go, let me just go step in the boon and see what gens are left, because sometimes you have gens, like especially in Swamp, like they're against the wall, they're in a corner somewhere.
Outlier.
And maybe survivors were trying to push the 2 gens we do know about, but we don't know about that one hidden gen. And that could be all the difference in winning the game. So I think it's a good perk. It's not OP by any means. So let's talk about Deadline. This is probably the weirdest one out of the bunch because you can be injured and then the skill checks are more frequent, but they're like doctor skill checks and they like pop up all around the screen. But there is a 50% reduction in the penalty. So Queen, thoughts? You have thoughts?
I, I played with this perk so much.
You did. You
Yeah.
were the one that did
I
it
was
the
going to say,
most. So
you
you should
had the
talk about this.
most.
Okay. So I think something that was very disorienting was the skill checks popping up in different places, which is something that I'm not really used to, especially like back to back. Initially, when I saw this perk, I was like, okay, let me I'm trying to think of everything I ran with it.
You did hyper focus.
Let me run Rebecca's perk. Oh, what's the name of it? Hold
Hyper
on.
focus.
Hyper focus. I was like, let me run hyper focus. Let me run Tap's perk.
Stakeout.
For like the great skill checks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
you played
then I
that
also
one.
ran it with, because I knew that the skill checks were going to become more often and in different places. I also ran it with this is not happening. Yeah, hyper focus, stakeout. This is not happening with that perk. I want to say gen wise, I didn't notice too much. Now, when I switched and I ran it with this is not happening, stakeout, autodidact and that perk, I did notice the healing, the increase in healing. Like at one point, Morbid was injured. I already had autodidact up, and the moment I got a skill check, she was healed like 80%.
Mhm. And I was like, what the hell happened?
I'm healed. So I did notice with that, but with everything else, yeah. The other thing about this perk is it's so situational. So I wasn't really able to like use it and see how much faster everything was going until we actually did like a kill your friends matches. And I was basically running up to Mocking, just saying, "Hit me, injure me," and then
Go do your gen.
testing
Go.
how it would work like on gens. Yeah, and then our
Um,
stupid bot Jane kept
I was
trying to
gonna say
heal
our
me.
bots. And then
He
for
was
fun, I ran for the people and I was trying to for the
he
people
was
her,
trying
but
to, yeah.
it was great.
Yeah, that bot Jane was chasing me all over the map trying to heal me. It was horrid. I had to take I was like, do I need to get a restraining order? I don't know why this bot's doing this to me.
I took care of Jane for
Um,
you, okay? I took care of Jane.
yeah, I
We
appreciate
did.
you
We got
still
rid of
there.
her.
But it's hard because obviously if you're playing in a real match, the killer's not going to be like, oh, I hit you, go use your perk.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is very niche. It's very situational. I feel like if someone is going to use it, like if you are going to try to do gens faster or be like the Healy person, you're also going to have to run it to where like people can't find you, like with a distortion or something like that, or let it be known that this is what I'm doing. Like I'm your point man for heals and stuff. I think it's hard to get this. I feel like there's setup for this perk. Like it doesn't just work naturally like synergize with the other perks. Like you have to do setup to get the payout, if that makes sense.
Do you want to add anything more,
Those are my
Ben?
thoughts.
Now, this one I didn't mess around with in the PTB just because I was like, oh, look, skill checks. I usually am good at making those. And I wasn't sure like what this would be used for. So I think Queen really like went in depth with this one, which was good because I was at a loss. I was like, I'm gonna try boon elimination, yay! And that's all I did. How about you? I don't know, did you try this one or?
I did. So I did play some solo rounds. I feel like this is like a high skill level perk, right? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what
Yeah.
Queen was saying. You're gonna run like hyper focus stakeout. Like this perk is for a very specific purpose. I don't think most people will run it. I think people trying to run a gen build might, but otherwise or with autodidactic, because the issue with
Mm-hmm.
autodidactic is sometimes it doesn't give you the skill checks. Like you could heal someone a whole health state and not get one skill check. And it gets very frustrating. So Deadline kind of ensures that you get those autodidactic
Mm-hmm.
skill checks. So then you can heal people super fast.
And that's what happened. I got one skill check and she was like 80% healed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you have to like get the stacks up on
Yeah.
autodidactic, which is the issue. It's a very weird one. This is very weird. And it's I think what it is also like kind of a risk reward perk.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be injured. The skill checks are moving around, but you do things faster. Kind of like I guess kind of like resilience. Like I think if you also paired this with resilience, you could have gotten more value out of it too. It's another combo. Hang on, let me see. What did DBD recommend? I forgot to look.
All DBD recommended. It's just so funny.
Oh wait. Oh wait. Oh gosh.
All they say is tip. This perk will pair nicely with synergistic skill check related perks. Use the in-game search bar to narrow down your favorite available options,
They don't know.
which could allow for some interesting loadouts. To me, that means we don't know.
They don't know.
Are there too many to list? There's not that many to list. Just list a couple.
No,
Yeah, they
I
had no
searched.
clue.
Yeah,
They were like, just pick one. Good luck.
because
Just
I
look up
would
skill
really like.
check.
Yeah, I would really like to know what they were thinking about. Like, if you're saying it can pair well, tell us what it pairs well with. Like,
You did for the
Yeah,
other
they-
two perks. Like
I was gonna say
yeah,
they did for the boon. They were like, yeah, use
yeah.
this one.
And that's not the one people are using either. Like with the
Yeah.
No.
first one, Champion of Light, I forgot to mention that. Like Morbid tried Overzealous because that's what they recommended, but
Mhm.
mostly
But it wasn't like amazing.
because I guess in my mind, if you're gonna run one boon, you might as well at least run another boon, right? Because Illumination doesn't it shows you its info, but you can't. It doesn't do anything else, right? So you might as well bring like Shadow Step or
Yeah,
Circle of
something else.
Healing. It's kind of like if you're gonna bring one boon, you might as well bring at least one more or two more or all boons, depending on
Or
what you
just,
want to do.
full
So
boon build.
so yeah, do a boon build or bring a couple. And like when I did solo, like that's what a lot of people were doing. They're bringing other boons with it because why not? Like you might as well. And if you get on a Swift, you could, have someone bring could bring back Circle of Healing a bit because if people like boon elimination, they might bring Circle of Healing or Shadow Step. So I have a comment. Overall, I am not very impressed with any of these perks. I'm just gonna be honest.
I'm not either, but I was afraid to say
No,
that
I
without
love
trying all of them.
like kudos. Okay, I'm gonna say kudos on like the design of Alan Wake, like the character model, the voice lines. I feel like all of that is on par, right? But the perks are so lackluster, and I think this is what I've kind of been hearing other people talk about. Like these perks seem like they were designed to synergize with other perks, but like none of them are really like S tier, which I didn't expect like all of them to be like amazing because typically with most chapters, there's usually kind of like one perk that stands out and the other ones are
Yeah.
either okay-ish or bad or sometimes bad, but like
Yeah.
there's usually one that kind of like outshines the others. And I feel like in this case, none of them outshine the others. Like I think
There's
Champion
none that
Light and the Boon are
stand on their
probably
own.
better than Deadline, but I'm not going to be buying Alan Wake for the perks.
True.
And like I'm not going to be like rushing to get these perks on my other survivors either. So I'm kind of disappointed in the perks. Of course, I said they needed a flashlight one, and I don't think the flashlight one is bad. I was really hoping for like a new item or for a flashlight perk and like a new item as well. Something I really expected like a lot of blinding perks. Okay, it's Alan Wake. We got Burn the Darkness. Okay, I wanted like a ton of like 3 like fun blind the killer perks or something. Like the elimination one is fine, but I was kind of expecting more, and so I'm kind of disappointed in the perks. I'm sorry. Behavior, like character design, voice lines, yay. I'm excited about the legendary cosmetics, but the perks are not why I'm buying this chapter. So I don't know if y'all want to have any more thoughts on Alan Wake. Alan Wake perks.
I think I feel the same. That I think overall character design, them bringing in the characters to the game, how they did it with the style and having the voice actor and the actual character actor was good. But I agree with the perks. Like I don't feel like any of these perks really stand by themselves. You have to run them with other things. They're not just like distortion. You just run distortion. You know what I mean? But I feel like all these perks you have to do it. And I actually pulled up the game right now and I just typed in skill check to see what came up. And so like again you have autodidact or is it autodidacted or autodidact? Autodidact.
We know what you mean.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It put bite the bullet, but that's not included because I just typed in skill check. It also has like corrective action, which I guess
that's Jonah's
that could be
perk.
one. Yeah. Fast track. There is. I mean, if you're going to be doing skill checks, you have fog wise, which if you hit a great skill check, you see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. I mean, rookie spirit.
Really? What does that one do?
Okay, so
Leon,
you complete 3. Yeah, you complete 3 good or great skill checks while repairing generators to activate it, and once active, you can see the aura of regressing generators. So,
oh gosh, yeah, no one runs that.
No one runs that.
I was like, I don't think I've ever done that.
I remember I had to run it, I think, when I was doing Leon's Adept.
Oh, yeah.
And I was running around the map, and I was like mocking, why are all these gens white? What does that mean? What's the perk the killer's running? Did the killer hit the gen? And then later she goes, oh, you're running Rookie Spirit. I was like, this is so confusing. All the gens are regressing. Yeah, it was very distracting. Skill check, so Scavenger, which
oh yeah,
when that perk came out, that perk is still very situational. I think I think we only ever got that actually to work once during the P2B, and I managed to do it, and that was only because Mocking ran the killer for like 3 gens.
And remember, that was like the perk Ots thought was going to be OP and
Yeah,
like a problem, and no one runs
it
that
was
perk
made for this.
because it's hard to get the great. You have to get the great skill checks in a row, if I believe. So it's
Yes.
like
That can be hard
so again, like
sometimes.
it's a high skill issue, kind of like with running deadline. You have to be able to hit these skill checks.
And then there's Technician. And of course, this is not happening, which was very useful to me to hit the great skill checks. That's what I was going for, because this skill check success zone is 30% bigger. And that also helped because the skill checks are bouncing around, and it's just so much easier to have that little tiny line a little bit bigger. And then, of course, Stakeout. So, like, there's not a lot of perks. I mean, there's like
No.
1, 2,
I s-
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like less than 9.
I still
Tell
think
Oh, wow.
resilience. I think you should run this with resilience. If you're gonna be injured and have more skill checks, you
Yeah,
might as well do things faster too.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
because that
Like
grants a 9% bonus.
when you're injured, you
Um,
have to be injured anyways.
Might as well run no mither. I'm just kidding.
I
it's
had
interesting.
someone in the solo PTV, yeah, like run no mither.
There you go.
So
See?
So she may have
let's
been
think about
testing
this.
that. So that was
If you
my
run,
AFK Blight round, so I
if you
can't really
run
say.
resilience, it's a repairing 9% while you're injured. Deja vu gives you repairing. Overzealous gives you repairing.
I
And
think
then if you run the boon, would those all stack?
we should have tested this probably.
I know, because I'm thinking like you run the boon, right? To see where all the gens are, because that will pair with overzealous, which will then, once you boon something, you repair faster. Deja vu, you repair faster. Then resilience, you repair faster. Maybe we need to test this out.
Probably.
It's like,
Yeah, we
wait.
didn't think about it last night. But yeah, like I feel
Mm.
like I mean, you can do hyper focus and all that, but I feel like in my mind, more skill checks equals more progress, right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, when you don't have a skill check, you just have like a normal like rate of progress. But if you hit that great skill check, it jumps up a little bit. But even hitting the good skill check, it keeps going. So you might as well like repair faster with some of these other perks.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people, if they're going to run deadline and even like hyper focus, they're going to be like high skilled players, right? They're going to be able to hit great skill checks the majority of the time. I feel like maybe you don't even need hyper focus if you just hit normal great skill checks.
Yeah, I don't feel like it made a difference. Like, not only that, like with hyper focus is an increase in skill checks, and the deadline's an increase in skill checks. So it just felt like I was playing skill check simulator.
Yeah, then you're not paying attention to anything
Then you're
around you
not
either.
paying, yeah, to what's going
Yeah.
on around you. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone's running this, it has to be on a Swift, because you have to know that you're going to have the time to just sit and do a gen, which most of the time is not how it is, depending on how the killer's playing. Like, it makes you very stationary. And a couple of times, like when we were just playing, we're testing stuff out, Mocking was coming up to me, and I was like, oh my god, there you are. Like, she was scaring me because I was just so focused on hitting skill check after skill check after skill check. Like, it's hard to keep track of your environment. And I'm not
Yeah.
super great with the great skill checks. I think I'm pretty decent. I was kind of amazed when I was watching Otts do it, how he was like so precise with his skill checks, where I was just like, I had to be zoned in. Yeah, I'm excited to see if someone with the builds that people do come out with, that maybe there's something that we're not thinking of with how it can be used. I really can't think of much
Yeah, I just feel
other
like
than a healing.
I think it also just goes back reiterating like I don't feel like this part really ties into Alan Wake too much, if that makes
Other than the
sense.
name, Deadline, being that
Well,
he's
I
a
mean,
Mhm.
writer.
well, he's just like Champion of Light is a direct correlation to Alan Wake. Illumination, yeah, it kind of fits, especially the Alan Wake 2. But Deadline, no, I feel like it's a very generic term because he's a writer. Yeah, we all get it. Like he's in the
Yeah.
dark place. He doesn't really have a deadline. He's trying to get himself out. It's his own deadline. I don't know. I guess it's about. I think how they described it was like the pressure of trying to get out and stuff. But
Hmm.
the name even I'm like, it doesn't really have that much of a tie to Alan Wake, besides him being a writer. I mean,
Oh,
it's
they
not
could
that
have done
special.
something cool
They
with
could have
like
done something
writing,
clever.
And pen is mightier than the sword. Using
right?
a pin for stun, or
Or
like
even
you
like
said,
mention like
flares,
something with a manuscript,
a
because the whole thing
manuscript.
is he writes manuscript pages on a
Hmm.
typewriter. I don't know. Even like something, even if it just said manuscript pages or
You hit the
I don't
killer with a
know.
typewriter.
Oh, hell yeah.
You write the killer out of existence. No more
Just erase
skull
him with
merchant.
your
No
pencil.
more
Just.
skull. Or like even like something with editing, because like a lot of the pages you find in Alan Wake 2 have been, it's on the typewriter, but then like there's stuff scratched out and edited with pen. Yeah, deadline is not really directly correlated with Alan Wake in any way. Just gonna throw that out there. Like, I mean, yes, he's a writer, but as far as something like specific to him, no.
Yeah, I feel like there was a missed opportunity to either include other things that came from the game or other creative spins on his character being a writer.
I really wish they would have brought. I almost kind of wish this was a full chapter, because I know people have been saying on Twitter, and like, it would have been cool if they could have had Mr. Scratch as the killer, because Mr. Scratch looks just like Alan, but
Doppelganger.
but like, you could have had an idea where you fool
Oh,
other
that.
survivors with
Yeah,
that.
that would have been
But
interesting.
also, I really like well, it depends on your interpretation of Mr. Scratch. In American Nightmare, he is very like suave and cool, but like in Alan Wake 2 they changed him up and he was very much more of a monster. So like, he's bloodied, he had his voice is distorted, like it's very scary. I would have loved to see like the contrast, and then like you could have even had dialogue between in the game between Alan and Mr. Scratch, like, because Alan has dialogue when he runs into the killer in the game. So, you could have had some like direct dialogue between Mr. Scratch and Alan. They didn't do that. And I understand, because it's also the dark presence, because it's dark presence isn't always physical. I think we've talked about, I don't, is there anything else with Alan Wake? I think we covered
I think we
Yeah.
covered
everything.
the majority of it.
So we can move on to the other changes that came in the developer
Yeah.
update and the PTB. So I think, Queen, you're going to take it away.
Yeah, I got that. So we have the developer update, of course, all the PTB stuff that we've been testing. So one of the big things that came out was the how to fix 3gens. They had their 3gen fix that came in, and they're sticking with their same kicking pun. Kicking things off, no pun intended. I don't believe you. As we speculated, their thought process for fixing the gens does have to do with kicking or regression events, quote unquote. So it said the goal with this update is to bring an end to excessively long matches, 3gen scenarios in particular, and at the same time improve the killer's ability to damage generators. 3gen scenarios are those where the killer aims to defend 3 generators, not necessarily behavior, because your maps like to spawn the 3gens. Check our Instagram for some pictures.
Oh yeah, I was
Right?
going to bring this up, but we can
Yeah.
let's go through like
Okay.
what they're
Yeah,
doing.
so they're saying aims to defend 3 generators that are close by in particular and does not and so the killer doesn't participate in normal gameplay. So like not chasing survivors, just staying on that side of the map, etc. We've all been there. So going forward, each generator can only suffer from a maximum of 8 regression events, where a regression event is anytime the killer or their perks remove at least 2.5% of the generator's progress in an instant. An indicator will show the killer if a generator can no longer be damaged. In the overwhelming majority of the games, this will not come into play. However, in scenarios where the killer is defending a set of generators and refusing to chase survivors, there will eventually come a point where they can no longer damage the generator, helping bring an end to excessively long matches. So at the same time, we want to address a point of a frustration for the killers as well. Survivors working on a generator briefly to stop it from regressing or gen tapping. So when it's hit and regressing, you just tap it real quick and move on. Given that the number of regression events is now limited, stopping a generator from regressing is more meaningful than ever. To prevent survivors from tapping a generator to negate one of these regression events, we have made 2 changes. So the base damage from kicking a generator has increased to 5%, was 2.5%, and at least 5% of the generator total charges must be repaired to stop regression. Otherwise, it will begin regressing again when the survivor stops repairing. And so we did test it out. So once the killer like hits it or a perk has it regress, as a survivor, when you hop back on the generator, there'll be a little line that lets you know the 5% you have to get to stop the gen from regressing. So they're saying that this will help ensure the killer always gets some value from kicking a generator and encourage survivors to think twice before attempting to stop the regression. So I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts? Mocking?
Well, I believe this is also broken in PTB, so we didn't really get to test it.
The
I was
full.
gonna mention that
Yeah.
when it was my turn. I was like, but guess what? It's broken.
Guess what? It didn't work. I can't say like we got to test this really. I mean, we did see the line, like you said, for how far you, and really it's only like 3 seconds, I believe. I kind of counted
Yeah,
a
it's
little bit.
not very long at all.
So like the whole 5%, it's not that long. It sounded like a lot, but it's not that long.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's over really fast.
I don't think it's an issue as far as the whole gen tapping thing. I think what I'm frustrated with is that they're not touching maps at all. Like RNG, where gens spawn, like you brought up, it's on our Instagram, and I mean, we've seen it. I've seen it as killer and survivor, like especially on House of Joy, with 2 gens in the streets, like almost on top of each other. Like I don't know why they didn't touch maps at all, and where gens spawn and making them spawn farther apart. I feel like that is more of an issue in some ways, because like on the swamp map you can have gens that like spawn in a corner against a wall, and that's I think the only map realm where that happens, you know, where they're like all the way far against the wall, where it actually takes the killer some time to get there. With that said, no map stuff. I don't know. Since we didn't really get to test it, I don't know if this is going to fix the issue or not. Because even if you can't regress the gen, I would say you could still just patrol the gens. And you could just slug people. And I don't know. I'm not confident in the solution, I guess is what I'll say. I get they're trying to make the game shorter, but I don't know if this is the solution. I'm not very confident in this, and maybe we'll be able to test it out more when it hits live because it's broken in PTB. So it's hard for me to say if I think this will work or not. I kind of want to say no. And then I guess we'd have to look on how it works with some of the other gen regression perks, because and what counts as an event. And because like with Ruin, it continually regresses if no one's on it. So if someone gets back on it and hops. Okay, here's a thought.
That's true.
I just had a thought. And I don't know if they talk about Ruin somewhere. Hang on.
Someone mentioned how Ruin's dead now. Because, again, a regression event is
they
anytime the
changed
killer
it.
or their perks remove at least
So if you get on and off the gen, would you deactivate the regression events? Does that make sense? So you have Ruin on a gen, you get some progress, a little bit of progress on it. You get off the gen, it starts regressing. You let it regress for a few seconds, get back on it. I mean, this is probably a time waster too. Like, could you manipulate the system?
I think that's what people are saying, is that essentially you could use Ruin against the killer.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like you don't see Ruin a lot anymore in general, I think, for the most part. But again, if an event counts as anything that removes 2.5%, it sounds like if survivors were to hop on and off, and if they were not to repair up to 5%, you could essentially manipulate it and make it to where the killer would not be able to kick, or the perks would not work anymore on the gen.
Well, they changed Ruin too, didn't they? Where
they changed it back.
It changed it back, like it doesn't deactivate anymore. when you hook a survivor.
Yeah.
When you kill, like completely get a survivor out of the game, which I'm fine with because I think the reasoning was it's a hex totem in the first place. So if the
Yeah.
survivors find your hex totem, then you've lost it anyways. And then if they
Yeah.
can't find it, you should be getting
Keep it up.
value out of it.
Yeah.
I think they
Mhm.
tried to do that so people or killers wouldn't tunnel.
Yeah, I think so
But
too.
the thing is, the use of ruin is you want to drive survivors off the gens, right? You want to patrol, you want to have ruin, and when you find the survivors on the gen, when you chase them off, your gen's regressing. So I guess the question is, do you end up driving them off 8 times in a match? I don't know.
Either that or as you driving them off. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how it works. I think a lot of people were concerned with it. Someone can go on and I could just heal. Well, not heal. I'm talking healing generators. That's what it feels like. I'm going to heal
I'm
the
gonna
generator
heal
for
you,
5%.
generator.
Soon, generator.
Yeah, because I'm saying like, so it's regressing. I get on, I do the 5%. The 5% is supposed to stop regression, but if it's still on the moment I hop off, it should start regressing.
Yeah, and that's another event, right?
And that's another event.
Or like you're on the gen and then your
Ah,
survivor comes to you, and so you get off and heal them, get back on. Like
okay.
just getting on and off the gen isn't like each time is an event, I guess.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm wondering if
I
that's
didn't
what
think
it's gonna
that
be like. Yeah.
through now until you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like, what
So
counts as an event? And is
again,
it only a killer event? Is it a survivor
no.
event?
It's getting
So
off.
no.
It's
It is any time the killer or their perks removes at least 2.5% of the generator's progress in an instant. Okay, so maybe Ruin wouldn't work that way because how much does Ruin remove in an instant?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Well, here's the
DBD
description for
wiki.
ruin. All generators are affected by hex ruin. While a generator is not being repaired by a survivor, it will immediately and automatically regress repair progress. So it doesn't really say 50, 75, or 100% of the normal regression speed. So we need to know what regression speed is.
So I guess what you're saying is, that because apparently my brain doesn't work today, is that like if you interact with the killer's perk, like Ruin, like you were saying, tap, get off, like could that count? Essentially, okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a tap and get off. It would be a do 5% and then get off.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Because the
Interesting.
5% stops the regression, but with Ruin, the moment you let go of the gen, it starts regressing. So we would need to figure out what that is. Because if it's not regressing immediately at 2.5% and it's something less than that, then it's not a big deal. But I think that's
Yeah.
what people are worried about is that you're making Ruin pretty much obsolete. And then if survivors, as survivors shouldn't be willing to do that because it's not, good gameplay, but I could see how they would be like, let me do the 5%, get off, let it regress so that I'm eating up those 8 regression.
And I have seen that reaction for sure that like,
Yeah.
Ruin's dead. That's it.
I mean, not a lot of people are running it. I think I've seen it occasionally, like in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll make
unusual, but like
curious to see if it'll make a comeback.
For a weekend they should bring back old Hex Ruin. Padfoots, our friend, and I remember Red Skill Check Ruin, where every match, this was every match when we first started playing DBD, was you would get on a gen, you would see its Ruin because it comes up in red, and old Ruin was if you hit a good skill check, the gen still regress. You had to hit great skill checks for the gen to progress. So every game would be like, oh no, it's Ruin, and someone on our Swift would have to go find Ruin. It would be like a totem hunt. Every game was find the Ruin totem, and that was like the whole beginning of the game slowdown. So,
that's funny.
So that's why they have changed Ruin, but now it's not really used at all. And I don't think it's like a bad perk, but it's a hex perk, so it's like again the risk reward. Sometimes survivors easily find it, and then sometimes it's really well hidden. So, and then sometimes survivors just power through Ruin too, especially since it's not the red skill check. Like I've had matches where we just do the gens. Like if the
We
killer
don't
is not
even realize.
defending, well, yeah, if the killer doesn't come by to defend the gens, you don't get value out of ruin. That's what ruin is for the killer, especially like wraiths. I feel it works. Any
Hmm.
like high mobility killer, you want to push the survivors off the gens, so you need to be able to get to the gens and scare the survivors off so that ruin will start doing its work. Or that's
But we digress.
But I think with this solution, I don't necessarily think it's the best solution to give my thoughts, because I really feel like they're saying that the killers are going out and just choosing their 3-gen. No, the 3-gen's being created, and then if they see it, we've seen some crazy 3-gens. We've had
Yep, for sure.
3-gens at RPD in the lobby one time. We had a gen at the bottom, gen in the middle by the pallet, and a gen at the top. I'm sorry, if you're a killer, it's like taking candy from a baby. Like, it's right there.
Yeah.
Luckily, that killer we had didn't abuse it, but we've seen killers feel like, well, if you're gonna put the gens right next to each other, it's the obvious choice. I also think like when the survivors create the 3-gen, that's on them. I if they create that scenario, then I think the killer has every right to exploit the scenario that the survivors created.
Yes, because
So
as
again,
killer,
yeah,
I don't play the 3-gen, but I will tell you, they hand it to me a lot of the time.
yeah,
Like, not all the
You're like, I
time.
don't even have to try
It's
sometimes.
usually what I could tell. It's usually solo queue
yeah,
games because there's no coordination. So they're just hopping on the first gens they come across. Unless they're running some perks, they're not going to know. And
Yeah.
there's no way to relay that to your teammates until we get boom illumination from Alan Wake. There's no way to relay that to your teammates. Like, hey, like, don't do this gen. Like,
even if you go up and you like shake your head and you're trying to get them off it, they won't do it, or they just do the gens in a row.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they
just
run
do
to
them in
the
a little
closest.
circle, and
So-
they keep running to the closest. So
that's I think the other reason why I'm like maps. It's a map thing. I feel like the issue is maps and RNG and where the generator's responding. I mean, we've seen some gens really close together, and I think they fixed the RPD one. That was like a bug when they redid RPD, but still, like
horrible
we've
bug
had
behavior.
like right now with House of Joy, they're like right next to each other on the street, like.
Mhm.
Then there's other ones close by. Like it's so easy to 3-gen.
Yeah,
And
there's the
then,
one at
so
the Jack, and then
sometimes
there's one down the end street.
so sometimes, yes, it's the survivor's fault, but I think it's also the map design. And I feel like the map design should be better to also prevent the 3-gen.
Yeah.
At least spread them out farther, especially on House of Joy right now. I'm sorry, I keep thinking because we've gone across that as survivor and I've had it as killer. And I'm just like, what? Like these poor survivors, like there's these 2 gens like right here. Like what are they supposed to do about it? Because I could just stay here. And then it's like in the middle of the road. So it's like if you're chasing, solo queue survivors are not
Main
going to
traffic.
yeah, easy, visible, right?
Mhm.
I can,
Yeah.
it's in the open. I'm going to see them on the gen. I'm going to go chase them off the gen. So
The 2 gens are visible from pretty much everywhere on the map, minus being behind like some obstacles and some walls and stuff. But you can see it directly from the house. You can see it from Shack. You can see it from down the road.
You just have to look.
It's hard to do. They're hard. We've done it before where we've gotten at least one done because you have to pressure them right off. If not, you're going to end up with the world's worst 3-gen where the killer could just see you. If you can see all the gens from one place, it's just, I've ranted about that before. I will pull back.
Anyway, my point is
it's
like,
a map
I think
thing.
It's a map thing too. I mean, yes, sometimes the killers play for it. Sometimes the survivors mess up. But I feel like overall, some of that should be solved with a map design.
Yeah.
Is my point.
I agree.
So
okay,
we can
we'll move forward. We'll talk about FOV settings.
I was like, give me the soapbox. Give it.
You now can change your first person FOV. They have a slider. It goes up to 103 degrees. Yes. So it ranges from 87 degrees, which is the current default, all up to 103, which is the current maximum. And I think
it's Shadowborn.
Shadowborn. And so the perks that alter your FOV, like Shadowborn and Monitor Abuse, they were adjusted, and we can get into that. So a lot of people like that. I know Mocking tested it out, and we didn't really notice a difference.
I think it was the killer I was playing too.
It
'Cause
might have been the
I
killer.
really
Yeah.
like Shadowborn on Huntress. I did not play Huntress, obviously. I played the killers we're going to talk about that were in this PTB. So I didn't really notice, but I know people have been wanting this for a long time, so
Yeah.
yay.
So killers, you got your bigger FOV. So hopefully that'll help with those FOV techs. And so there were some updates to the Onryo, Hillbilly, and the Blight, and we'll just kind of run through those real quick. So for the Onryo, in the last update that they did, Condemn would spread to all survivors who are not holding a tape whenever Sadako projected to a TV. And of course, this allowed her to spread the curse more. And it honestly, in here it says, but Minnie felt this favored teleporting as soon as possible rather than strategically during a chase. That's all it did. She just teleported everywhere.
Yes, I think this is another instance of what you brought up earlier of like behavior
Yeah.
being like we think we're going to do this change
Yeah.
to Onryo, and we think this is how people are going to play her, and then people don't play her
It-
that way.
exactly.
They just made her a teleporting machine. We had matches where we didn't even get one gin done. We were at 5 gins. Everyone was condemned. We were all worried.
It was awful. Yeah, I remember that
Horrific.
match.
So they decided to do some tweaks. It says we have a few changes in mind to restore this gameplay while keeping Condemn more prominent. So when the Onryo teleports, survivors within 16 meters of a powered TV will receive a stack of Condemned. The teleport cooldown has been removed, allowing her to teleport more frequently. When a survivor is hooked, their current Condemned progress becomes locked in, preventing it from being removed. So really, as a survivor, your main move to counter any of this is the moment you get to a gen that has a TV by it, you take the tape. Well, I'll get more to the thing, but as we were playing, I felt like we were having to do the tapes more. So it says this makes it very risky for survivors to ignore Sadako's curse. So survivors will want to shut off nearby TVs and deposit the tapes before it's too late. And then speaking of tapes, they also reviewed the way curse tapes work to bring back some of their fondly remember behavior. I don't know if anyone fondly remembers any of this. So curse tapes no longer protect survivors from gaining condemned. Curse tapes are no longer destroyed or inflict condemn when a survivor is hit, which is nice. And curse tapes can only be deposited in the furthest TV from where they were picked up. So this will once again force survivors to spend some time crossing the map in order to delay their curse. Demanifested. So the previous update made it so the Onryo couldn't start a chase while demanifested. This had a side effect of making it very obvious when she demanifested in the middle of a chase, allowing survivors to anticipate and play around it. So the Onryo can now chase survivors while demanifested. And additionally, Minnie pointed out one of the Onryo's changed add-ons, Rico's Watch, was very fun to use. Rather than add the effect back into the add-on, we instead incorporated it into her base kit to make the add-on feel less essential. So the duration of invisibility while demanifested has been increased to 1.2 seconds was 1 second. And it says, with all these changes in mind, we reviewed a handful of the Onryo's add-ons which either no longer have a purpose or promoted strongly disliked playstyles. So in the notes for the PTB, they kind of go into depth onto all the add-ons they changed. And some of them they completely reworked. So if you want to check that out, you can. Overall, we played one match against her. I think we did okay. I did feel like I was running to TVs more, and it did suck because I got hooked when I had almost all the way to condemned. So once I got unhooked, I had to do a lot of running around. So I don't know what you guys noticed when we were playing against her. Thoughts?
The only thing that I thought was, this is like just a weird like interaction thing. When you pick up your tape or a tape when you're almost to condemned, you get a noise notification and like a circle like somebody got hooked, and then it stays that way for like a couple seconds, and then it fades away and your TV is, I think it was yellow. I thought it was kind of weird. That was the only thing. I know this is like a superficial issue, like this is a me thing, but I was just like, why would it do that?
It's because you have to take it to the furthest TV now.
Yeah, it
Which
used
is
to do
what,
that before.
yeah, that's
Okay.
so basically they kind of reverted her back
Which is
almost to how
fine.
she was when she was released.
I just figured it would have been like the traps for for Piggy. Like, they just show you an outline and you go to it. And I was just like, cool, why is it doing that? I guess it was just I didn't anticipate it.
Well,
So it was kind of weird. But it's, whatever. Like I said, it was superficial. It was
yeah.
still, I didn't really notice a difference. We haven't gone against a lot of Onryos in a while since they've kind of moved her stuff around and changed things.
It's just a PTB, so we only went against one
Well, no. I mean, like,
in the
not
past.
really
Me.
I meant like in the past. Other than, of course, Mocking, because she did play, I think.
Well, you weren't trying to kill us.
True.
I was not, but I was trying to kill.
I guess
I was trying to kill the bots,
Yeah.
we'll have
and I
to
was trying
see
to see how fast I could get
when.
the condemned.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see when it goes live. I did notice that we didn't get condemned as quickly.
No, it's
Mostly I
hard.
was playing with the tapes just for fun, like just running them around. But I'm not sure. Did you notice anything, Mocking, when you played
Oh
her?
yeah, oh yeah. She's back to, for the most part, where she was before. I mean, I think the new thing, like Queen brought up, was when you're hooked, it locks in you're condemned, which I don't think it did before. Instead of the condemned being, to all survivors, you have to be around that TV. And I probably should have ran better perks, but we were just testing stuff, like more aura reading stuff, so I would know where to teleport. So there's no cooldown on the teleport, but the downside is that I found I could go to all the TVs and there's a cooldown for when the TVs turn back on. So I could have like no TVs if I just like zipped and didn't find anyone.
Oh.
And getting the condemn, of course, is harder because it's dependent on the survivors being by the TV. So if they're not by a TV, they're not going to get to the condemned. And I don't really know that until they actually hit condemned. I don't, as the killer, I don't see the progress, which is good because you don't want the killer to know and then try to like tunnel someone.
Yeah, of course.
So she's very much back to how she was at release with how the
Okay.
condemned spreads. There are some differences with the condemned being locked in at a certain point, which we'll have to see. So yeah, you're having to do tapes more often, but I feel like it's not as scary to hold the tape anymore because you don't get condemned when you hold it, which was like
Yeah, for sure.
what was scary with the reworked Onryo, because it's like you should be it's because it's like you need to be doing the tapes, but then if you're caught with a tape, you're pretty much screwed, right? You get like 2 stacks of condemned, and now it's you have to take it to the farthest TV, which I think is what it was before, but in the rework
it was
you
before.
could take it to any of them unless there was an add-on to make it the furthest. She's definitely a nerf. It's a nerf, but I think it needed to be done, and I'm kind of glad they've reverted her back and didn't stick with what they did. And I know in the summary Queen read, they're kind of like snarky, or I don't know if it's snark, but like some people didn't like this. Well, no.
No, because it was
I mean,
awful.
Onryo's liked it because it was like super easy now.
Yeah,
To
I know
get
we went
people.
against a few matches where it was like a horrible, like we were
Hard.
just like held hostage, and it was like I went out of this game.
Oh, I thought about holding one hostage, the Onryo hostage. We had one match and I was injured. You know what gets around the condemned? If you plot twist. You just stay on the ground.
Yep.
You can totally, but you can't do anything. But there was like only 2 of us left, so it was like I could just like
Yeah.
crawl around on the ground and see if she ever finds me, and that would be kind of taking the game hostage. But it's like it sucks otherwise, because if I get up, I gotta deal with the condemned. I'm basically gonna die. It's like I
mean, they didn't. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Cause like the play style I like with her is sneaking up. That's why I liked her.
Scary.
Oh,
When she
yeah.
was released, was like running Tinkerer and like other self perks to kind of go with her power to like gen grab people. I've
Yeah,
grabbed
she was
so many
scary.
people with Onryo, and
Yeah, it was.
that's like
It was
my
cool.
satisfaction is that and not so much the condemned, but it's hard. It's definitely harder to get the condemned now, and I think it should be hard because it's supposed to be something that you have to work for. And when they reworked her, it was just too easy. And then like
It's very easy.
I mean, I'd be
Yeah.
very interested to see like numbers of like when they released her, then the rework, how many people were condemned in most matches, like an average.
But also, don't be sad because your rework didn't work.
I know. I'm glad they
Like-
kind of reverted on this.
Like at least they're, I'm glad they're willing to go backwards, but also, they like throw the comment like, well, people didn't really like this. It's like, no, we didn't.
Well, and we told them beforehand, like when in PTB and stuff, right away, right afterwards, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna work on reworking her again," because people are like, it's hard. Like, I I know you could take like the Tape City TV, but it really was just that person bouncing around, just trying to condemn everybody. And if you kept track of the TVs, I felt like there was always the one TV your tape was going to go into. They would leave open and they would come out at you.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that a lot, and I was like, please stop.
Yeah, because there's only one TV I could put it in, and
You
that's
can
it.
camp the TV. If they know
Yeah.
what TV, especially if you run an add-on where you have to take it to a specific TV, I had this
Yeah.
happen where they will just camp the one TV
Yeah.
and you can't do anything about it.
And so you end up condemned. And most of the time when you have a tape, it's because you already have the stacks of condemn, and then you get down, and it's just like an instant mori. As you can see, we've all been traumatized by Sadako.
Yes, I have been
Yes.
personally victimized by Sadako.
We're gonna have to go to therapy.
I know. And during the PTB, we were also personally victimized by Hillbilly.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about Hillbilly. So our beloved Hillbilly did have some changes, and behavior says, "Uh-oh, watch out, survivors. It looks like someone unwrapped a brand new chainsaw. It's the Hillbilly's turn for an update." So, overdrive. The controversial overheat mechanic is no more. Overdrive is the new talk of the town. As the Hillbilly uses his chainsaw, it will generate heat just like before. When the heat meter is full, not only will he continue being able to use it, but his chainsaw will kick into overdrive and gain the following effects for the next 20 seconds. Chainsaw charge speed is increased by 5%. His chainsaw sprint movement speed increases to 13 meters a second, I'm pretty sure. And
I think so.
Chainsaw sprint cooldowns are reduced by 10%.
I was like,
The short
Canadian.
version, yeah, heat is good. Cleaning up. At the same time, we've made some general improvements to the Hillbilly's kit and smoothed out some of the rougher edges. The base chainsaw sprint movement speed has been increased by 10%. Reduce the size of the chainsaw's collision detection to make chainsaw sprints. There's a lot of C's and S's here.
You can do it.
Sprints more maneuverable in maps with high density tiles. Oh my god, I don't do good with C's or S's. Camber sensitivity
Man, they
no
threw it all
longer,
at you.
I know, is no longer incorrectly tied to the controller sensitivity setting while using a mouse and keyboard. Chainsaw controls are now equal to 100% sensitivity. Oh my god! And then
you
add
said
on.
that, and then I'm reading as you're reading out loud,
Oh,
and I'm
no.
just like, I see all the C's and S's, and I'm like, oh no.
There's so many.
Camera sensitivity.
Controller
Sorry,
if you guys hear me
sensitivity
pronounce
setting.
C's and S's weird, sometimes I have an issue with them. I blame it on growing up in England. And of course, they did a add-on cleanup as well. And if you can check the PTB notes for the add-ons and stuff that they changed. I will say Hillbilly is the killer we went up most against in the PTB. So our first match was an Onryo, then we had a Blight, then we had a Ghosty that we absolutely destroyed, and he deserved it.
Yes.
He tried to camp me. And then the next 15 was just Hillbilly.
Yeah,
Hillbilly.
so when this goes live, get ready to face Hillbilly and nonstop.
I will
There are
say
no other killers.
yeah, there's gonna be no other killer. I will say with the Hillbilly, it took us like 3 matches to figure out what was going on.
Oh yes.
There is a horrid
I was
sound.
gonna mention that, yeah.
I don't know if it's supposed to be that way, but I think when his chainsaw, I don't know if it's when it hits overdrive or when overdrive like ends, it makes the most horrid screeching sound like across the map. And we didn't know what it was at first, and it actually is scary to hear this sound. So I did not like that one bit. So I don't know if that's supposed to be part of what it is. It also gives away the killer if you're on the other side of the map, because that's what was happening is we were just chilling on a gin and we kept hearing it, and it just happened to be that every time we found the killer, it was a Hillbilly.
Yeah, we were all like, what is that?
What is that? Like it was scary.
I
It just
couldn't
jumps out
figure
at
it
you.
out. I thought it was like a bug.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
It's not in any you the notes?
Yeah,
it
doesn't say.
There's
here's
like
this.
a audio notification when
Yeah.
he's in overdrive. Like, can y'all put that somewhere? This is like need to know information.
Was it
Yeah, like-
supposed to be that way? Because again, I would think you wouldn't want it to be that way.
Well,
I mean, you can hear his chainsaw,
yeah.
but that like on the bigger maps, you can't hear his chainsaw when he's super far
Well-
away, but you could hear the overdrive.
Yeah, for I was gonna mention that where for the boot illumination, it even says that it plays like a sparkle. I never once heard it. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just my bad hearing or what.
I think it's
We
the
couldn't
kinda
hear it
glow-
over Hillbilly's chainsaw.
There is like a sound like when you're in the boon.
Oh,
That's what they're
okay.
trying to describe. Like even with the shadow step and circle of healing, there would be like a
Okay, yeah, I see
sound
what you're saying.
associated with it. I think that's all
But yeah,
it's
then
talking about.
for Hillbilly, they don't say anything, and it's like this loud as hell like thing. It was just
Yeah.
Y'all didn't
It was
play
funny.
Killer, and there's also a very bad sound notification when you kick a gen now because of the regression events, I think. When I played the Onryo, it was like so annoying. I'll have to go play it for y'all. It was bad. I was just like, can we not?
I don't know if this was a thing before this, but did Hillbilly's chainsaw glow? Because it glows blue now.
This is the
when
overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah, that's overdrive.
Because they had
And
a
I'm
teaser
like, oh,
for
frosty eyes.
No, they had posted a teaser about him getting a new chainsaw, and this was the
Oh, did he get it for Christmas?
Yeah, but he's
That's
really
cute.
happy because the overheat mechanic is
His wife
gone.
got it for him. She's like, here you go, babe.
I mean, there was some other stuff that they added stuff to help with curving. For the most part, I feel like during the PTB, maybe we had like one or two that were doing it. We did have one Hillbilly was like, you're probably a main because you're just curving all over the map.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
just all died really fast. But for the most part, we could tell people were testing it out. We had a couple people DC because of mocking.
Oh. There
I
were
couldn't
two of us
hit her.
left. We were so dead, but I think he was chasing me.
I think
She
started
traumatized
chasing
some
you.
killers.
It was kind of fun to chase against Hillbilly. It's been a while.
I was hiding in a bush.
I did have one, this was solo, that ran, I don't know what the add-on is, but there's an add-on where he can go through the pallet, and then if he hits you, you're injured, so it's not an automatic down.
Oh.
I think the add-ons change are fine. I watched Rapid Main's video. He's the one I know that like used to main Billy, but then they kind of nerfed Billy to the ground. So he's super excited, and he was showing off some of the add-ons and stuff, and I think it's good because, I mean, Hillbilly is one of the original killers that came with the game.
Yeah, he's OG.
Yeah, and it's like they nerfed him, and no one knows why they nerfed him because he is not easy to play. I think
No, not at all.
Rapid Main's opinion is with the overdrive, they've made him easier for new players to play, but still there's skill. You've got to, like, I've hardly played him, and I was having trouble like maneuvering him. And we only played one round, but I probably should have played like to the add-on so I could curve with him more to try to see what maneuverability I could get with him. So I think he's definitely a killer that takes practice, but I think you want players to use the chainsaw. And when they did the overheat mechanic, you're basically telling survivors to M1, or you have to watch out on the overheat mechanic. And I think for Billy mains, it wasn't a huge issue. They could do that, but you also have to think about new players, right? Coming into the game. Is it easy or hard to deal with the overheat mechanic? So, but I think this is a good change, and we will probably see all the Hillbillies when it goes live. Hillbilly and Alan Wake. We will see all that on the 30th.
Prepare yourself.
The good thing about that is Alan Wake is built just to sit in a bush. So if there's a
yeah,
this is default cosmetic, yeah.
Just get in a bush, you're fine. Our Hillbilly kept going through the bushes because we kept hiding in them.
I was gonna say, if I hadn't been tunneled out of that one game on the Deadman's, Hangman's, whatever, Dead Dog, I feel like I would have been very great at hiding.
He kept hitting at bushes, though. It was so strange. I'm like, I'm not over there, dude. I'm over here. Like
he was chasing you, thinking about you seeing, and I was the one hiding in the bush. watching. So another killer they touched as well is Blight, specifically Blight's add-ons. If anyone's been around any length of time for Dead by Daylight, we all know that the Blight had some very OP add-ons. Some of the things they touched were Blighted Rat and Blighted Crow. So these add-ons, they were fairly strong, making it far more difficult to get out of the way of this rushing time. And they reduced the rush speed bonus of those add-ons to 2% and 3% respectively, and before they were 4% and 6%. And then his Adrenaline Vial, so that add-on had a lot going on, kind of making it like one that people always used. Simplify it, editing behavior, naughty. And it starts with an S too. I feel like you're just trying to make it to where I can't speak. To
Oh, they know.
simplify
You're like,
it.
To simply it?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be simplify it.
Okay.
But they left out a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
just
you
simply
need
it.
if you need an editor, we're here. We have
Yeah.
English
We've told them before.
majors. Like we could we could read
Yeah.
stuff.
So to simplify it and bring it closer in line with other options, we're removing the following effects. So no longer decreases time to recharge your rush token by 1 second, and no longer increases rush speed by 10%. The add-on now does the following, and these effects are unchanged. This increases maximum rush tokens by 2, increases maximum rush look angle by 20 degrees, and decreases rush turn by 55%. And then Alchemist Ring, which again, it's a big one, and they even have little parentheses in here that says the one you probably aren't surprised to see on this list. We've been waiting for on every single list you've done with add-on changes for years. Restoring rush tokens on hit is incredibly powerful, so we've reworked this add-on entirely. So they just overhauled it, and now it increases rush duration by 20% for each consecutive rush. And then they also have Compound 33. It says reducing the survivor's movement speed acts very similarly to increasing the Blight's rush speed. We've decided the best course of action is to give this add-on a new effect, and each consecutive rush, which is longer than 4 meters, increases turn rate by 33%. They also touch the Iridescent Blight tag. This add-on can also be extremely powerful in the right hands, which is basically every Blight that's ever played. It also promotes the awkward gameplay of repeatedly slamming into walls to take advantage of the effects of the last rush. We've given this add-on a brand new effect as well. Enables rush to be performed without spending tokens. Rush bonuses are capped after 3 consecutive rushes. Blighted Corruption goes on cooldown for 20 seconds after successful lethal rush tech. I feel like I'm curious to see someone who actually plays Blight more do it, because I feel like in PTB we kind of had people just testing it out, and for the most part
We had a
I
Blight
don't
that just
think
kept running into the walls
yeah,
for
just
fun.
kept running into the walls. I mean, I was looping the Blight on a car for a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't go against like an
Yeah, we
experienced
didn't go
blight.
against an experienced
And
Blight.
I am not an experienced blight. So yes, an opinion on someone that plays blight, or we need that. I mean, there's definitely nerf to these add-ons, because the Alchemist Ring one was the one where if you rushed and you hit the survivor, your tokens were restored. It's kind of like when we complained about the Trickster add-on that was like you just kept getting blades. That was like the blight equivalent. So that needed to be changed. She just had some really strong add-ons, and I remember like Hens did a video on Compound 33, because this was a while ago. I remember Otz was like, it's not that strong, and Hens was like, oh yeah? We did a whole video on how strong Compound
Hold my controller.
Compound 33 works. So yeah, and I mean, he's a very mobile killer, obviously, with the rushing. So I do like the changes to these add-ons, that it's kind of like the turn, like it's a lot of the turn rate is changed. Like make him better at what he does in the first place, right? Like turning, the mobility, like does he really need to go faster? I feel like he goes fast enough, if that makes sense. So I think I'm okay with the changes they made. Again, I don't play Blight that often, so it'll be good to hear from an experienced Blight player.
Yeah, let us know if you guys main Blight or play him.
Yeah.
What your thoughts are. I feel like the people we did go up against, they were trying to get those turns in, which is part of the reason they're probably hitting those walls. But
yeah, it could
and
be
I think that's a skill issue.
You just gotta get used to it.
Yeah. but we'll keep
I
you
mean,
posted. But yeah,
he's a hard player, or a hard killer to
hard
play.
killer. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because when we do them in like customs, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just bouncing
Yeah.
everywhere, and yeah.
And
So if
I'm
you're
like
a
you. I'm just
main,
gonna
good
walk
job.
around.
Yeah.
Well, he was also very buggy when he first came out
Yeah.
because the hitboxes were weird and he'd slide off stuff, and he's much better now. But yeah, you have to kind of. It's also kind of keeping awareness and keeping track of where the survivors are, because if you're gonna bounce like way over in one direction, just trying to kind of. I mean, I kind of like it in a way. It's like you gotta kind of map out where you're going and how you're gonna
Yeah.
get to the survivor, because he can like make distance. So.
He's using very strategically.
Mm-hmm.
But let us know your thoughts. Other than that, there were some perk changes. So one of the big perks that, due to other perks that were coming in the game and stuff like that, that kind of saw a renewal was save the best for last. And behavior says this perk indirectly became stronger when the successful, again, why those all these S's in a row? When the successful basic attack cooldown was reduced some time ago. Certain killers can also circumvent the downside by using their special attack to injure the obsession, which was what was happening. To tone it down and make it more consistent across all killers, we have made the following changes. Each token grants a stackable 4% decrease successful basic attack cooldown, was 5%, and 2 tokens are lost when the obsession loses the health state by any means. And it used to be just a basic attack. So if a killer uses their power or something and is able to injure them by any means now. I'm happy with that. I felt like Save the Best for Last was you killers were being sneaky by using special attacks to injure the obsession. And I'm glad that they recognize that.
Okay, I have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the original one that's come up with this issue, but this basically incentivizes you to ignore the obsession, though. Because you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna lose 2 tokens, so you might as well just never hook the obsession
Mm-hmm.
till endgame. I feel like this may not be a good change.
I can see that. I can see what you're saying.
Like, you're gonna get killers that if they run this, they're gonna ignore the obsession completely. So if you're the obsession, you get ignored. Guess what perk they're probably running? This one, and then they're gonna just wait till the end, and then it won't matter if they lose like 4, because basically to down the obsession they would lose. Well, let me think. It says loses a health save, so 4 tokens, I guess, and 1 for injured and 1 for dying, I would guess.
Well, yeah, because
Maybe
it's
I'm
2
wrong if
tokens
they don't
per
do the dying
obsession
save.
loses the health state by any
Yeah.
means. So
So
it would be
like,
the hit and then the dying.
mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel like I get the idea, because the whole premise of the perk, like it fits the perk theme, because this is the Michael perk, and he's obsessed with Lori, so she's last. Like, I get it lore wise, but losing 2 tokens, yeah, you're just gonna ignore
Mm-hmm.
the obsession until the very end.
And
Unless the
I would
obsession somehow
yeah.
forces a hit, like blocking a doorway or something.
Or jumping in front of somebody, take a protection hit.
Yeah.
I don't think we saw this at all during the PTB.
I ran it one of our
Yeah, I'm not sure.
rounds,
Okay.
but yeah, you were the obsession queen. I had to remember, like, because you're
You
like,
know
hit
what?
me, and I'm like, yeah, I need to hit you at the beginning so I don't lose my stacks.
So
Like, I
the
don't have
stack.
any stacks now.
See,
At the
I
very
did you a
beginning.
solid.
I
I
know.
know. I get it.
But that's my
People
only
can be
thought.
obsessed
The
with it.
downside of this perk is you're just going to ignore the obsession.
Yeah, I can see that. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how people use it in the build. Then also Grim Embrace, which we saw a lot, is going to get a rework. So Grim Embrace blocks generators for a substantial duration. However, it only activates once and requires the killer to hook every survivor once. It can be a little inconsistent and hard to activate, especially if you have survivors like us and you can't find us. Therefore, we're adding a secondary effect on top of the existing effect. The first time each survivor is hooked, all generators are blocked for, it could be 8, 10, 12 seconds once the killer moves at least 16 meters from the hook. This will ensure the killer is always able to get some value out of the perk, even if the last elusive survivor manages to evade them, and reward killers who switch targets. I think that's a good compromise on that one, and we did see killers who got use out of it.
For sure.
Throughout the match, like we were waiting for gens to get unblocked. Also, for the most part, I want to say we didn't really have any matches where the killer who used it tunneled out. They were leaving the hooks and moving off to have this perk activate. Thoughts?
I think it's a great change
hmm
because no one ran it
Mhm.
before. It was really hard to
Yeah.
get off because you had to. It was after you hooked everyone once, and if you had that elusive Claude hiding in the back corner, you know.
And Queen hiding in the locker.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
too. But at least now you get some value. Like, there's actually a lot of good things in this perk because
hmm
you get value. It's just blocked, so it's not scourge hook, so you're not losing
hmm
regression. I mean,
And
you
it went
could,
away, so
yeah, you
it
could
was
run it with the
fine.
scourge hook, and then it doesn't actually activate until the killer is away from the hook.
hmm
So no camping. Again, just like the perk originally planned, like it's to incentivize going after each survivor. So it's only for like 12 seconds. It's nothing like when eruption was a thing. That was like so
Mhm.
much longer, you know, when survivors were incapacitated. Like, but
hmm
so I think this is a good change, and hopefully it will, as far as like gen perks go, I'm fine with this one. It's not OP, but it does, you know, get the survivors off the gens and gives the killer some room to like find someone
hmm
and chase someone and get away from the hook so that person could get unhooked.
Yeah, that's
Yay.
essentially what's happening is the killer was going to the gym they know that had the most progress
Mhm.
because they were going to find someone there pretty much every time, and that's what happened on for us every time it popped because you could cross the map easily in 12 seconds, especially if someone's waiting there. So they knew someone was always in the area.
Yeah, I feel like
So.
this is an example of a good. I know they all want them to be good changes that actually work, but like I don't feel like anyone abused this
hmm
while we were playing last night. It was, I mean, it was a minor inconvenience. It was like, oh crap, I can't like stay on here, but it wasn't something that I'm like, oh my God, they ruined my life.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it can synergize well with other killer perks that are gen related too. So I guess we'll see what happens with that one. We also had Quick Gambit, got an update. So this is a survivor perk. So this perk grants other survivors a repair speed boost when you're being chased nearby. However, its range is fairly low, making it difficult to get close enough for other survivors to benefit from without also putting them in danger. And I think that was the point when it first came out. We were like, oh, that's great. So basically, we're just repairing a gen as they're running around me in a circle. So they have increased the range to 36 meters. It was 24. And they actually reduced the repair speed bonus. So it was up to 8% if you have the perk max. Now it's 5%.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I I'm
I
like,
mean,
we'll see
hey,
how it works with the larger one, but I guess they're
right.
just trying to compensate, do a give and take, find a compromise
I mean, if
for
you're that
that.
solo survivor that's going to be like sandbagging, maybe this is your perk.
This might be another one we need to test with like Deja Vu, Quick Gambit. We'll see.
I
How fast can we repair
also
a gen?
would like, I'm gonna look this up. I need to know how many meters that, like, how that, what is that in feet? Okay, I'm an American. That's no way. That's 118 feet. Okay.
Well, how many meters are the maps is basically what we would need to know. We need to figure out when we're on a
I
gen
think
where
they're in
where
meters
mocking has to
squared.
run.
Exactly. I think they measure the maps in meters squared, which I would have to look up as well because I don't know what that is. Uh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's big. Okay, how big is? We'll test everything by killer. What is the radius for the tear radius for what's his name?
Which I think I might have looked this
Wesker,
up
it's
before.
40.
You know who I'm talking about. I can't think why my
Wesker?
mind just Wesker.
40.
I think I
It's
looked this up
40.
before to see like what
Sometimes
they
Wesker
yeah, to see what
is
they
his tear radius is
considered
a whole freaking map.
as like a meter, and it was like if you look at the fence, it's supposed to be like one section of a fence is what they consider a meter in the game. But that was like on Reddit, so who knows if that's correct.
I still think this perk is stupid. Okay, I'm
But
just.
also but also yes, I'm with mocking. Why is this a perk? Why would I want
I.
to give my
I.
friends or other teammates a benefit while I'm chasing? Because the killer is going to probably go for somebody else unless they have a vendetta.
Or it's gonna be like the match we had where what was it? Was it a Legion? we were on the Michael Myers map, Haddonfield,
Haddonfield.
Haddonfield.
and someone was looping him around the pallet that has like the car by it, and we were at the gin in the street, and he just eventually just stopped and turned and locked as we were repairing the gin. In that case, it would work, but for the most part, you're either running the killer away from the gins or you're running by a gin that's already been repaired because you're, as a survivor, you're trying to keep them away from the gins that are being worked on.
Yeah.
Um,
The only thing I
so,
could see is like a multi-level map, maybe, if
mhm,
you like running on the top floor of Midwich and you're repairing on the
Oh
bottom.
yeah. Maybe the
But I
game.
just feel like there are better
mhm.
gen repair speed perks.
Facts.
Run built to last of the toolbox, run prove thyself. Overzealous. I feel like there are a bunch of other perks that are better than this one, and then it's very dependent on the person that is being chased to stay
Mhm.
in chase and stay in that area, because also like once you use up the resource there,
Resources.
you're gonna have to move on. I don't know. I just feel like I was really hoping they were going to rework this perk entirely, like do something completely different with it, and they didn't. So I'm just kind of disappointed that
Victorio is so cool too.
I know, and
This is his
I
perk.
don't.
Don't touch Vittorio.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it before. With something quick, you think something's done fast, but yeah, no. We already talked about Hex Ruin, so again, that changed where it no longer disables once the survivor is killed or sacrificed, and you have Shadowborn. Of course, with the FOV sliders, Shadowborn is kind of now obsolete. So basically, they changed it to when the killer is blinded by any means, they gain up to a 10% haste effect for 10 seconds. And then we have Monitor Abuse. So basically, with Monitor Abuse, they just took away the FOV stuff and they left, what it was before, which was the terror radius effects are unchanged, and they just took away the FOV adjustment. And then Ormond, my favorite map, well, one of them, minus Hawkins, and my favorite gen, did get an update. We played that map a lot.
Oh
There
yeah.
are some interesting new tiles, the interesting object placements with like some benches and ski racks and stuff like that. They kind of did rework it. There were some tiles where you're like, this is strange,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's gonna have to get used to it type of thing.
They also opened the front, so
Yes.
like I guess I say the front part of the building where you said that really long rock wall. You had the
Yeah.
sign, and there was a really long wall that's gone.
They also tried to fill in some dead zones.
It's a lot
So
of
they
picnic
kind of,
benches.
yeah, they kind of overhauled some portions of the map. There were some pallet loops that were around like the tables and stuff, making them kind of very unsafe. So they've adjusted that stuff as well. Overall, I still think it's a good map. I still feel like, isn't this one of the more survivor sided maps? I will
Yeah.
say the one thing I didn't like, so in the main building, top floor, they have a hookup there in the side room, and the killer can completely block the door so you
Mhm.
can't get in, and there's only one way to get in. I don't like that. They need to think about that. Now, if the killer, there's a breakable wall. So I'm talking about if you go up Ormond and if you're in the main building, you go up the stairs, you go to the right, there's a hallway that has a pallet where you jump out the window. If you keep going, there you go right again into the little two set of rooms. And there is a window vault and then there's a little balcony vault, but there's no stairs from the outside there. There's a breakable wall, but if the killer doesn't break the wall that's attached to the hallway, you can't get in that way. Plus, there's no stairs up there to get up to that top part anyway. So the killer can essentially, they don't even have to be in the room to block the door. They can stand up in the hallway right next to the stairs and no one can get in. So I don't think Behavior thought that through very well.
Probably not. That's like the RPD issue they used to
Mm-hmm.
have.
That's their motto.
But I just like, I
I'm
don't
sorry, that
understand
was
why
wrong.
they'd be like, you know what, let's put a hook that only has a one way to get in the room.
I'm surprised they didn't put that hook, and I don't know if there's room for it, like at the top of the stairs, like not before you get to the room. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Somewhere over there. Like I understand why they're putting a hook up there, but
Well, if they put
that's
it at
not
the
a good
top of the stairs to the
spot.
left, there's
There's not enough room
well,
though to walk
no,
around.
there's not a way to get them either unless the killer breaks the other breakable wall by the lockers.
This is really an issue at endgame. I don't know if the killer, if they stood in the hallway, if you would get the anti-camp or not.
Oh,
Well,
that's a
see,
good
then
question.
you
But
I would
then once you
think
hit
they
endgame, it
would.
doesn't matter.
So I don't know if
Things
they're
we need
like,
to
well, the
try.
anti-camp will get them, but at the same time, there's the whole issue with being on multiple floors. So essentially, the killer could be at the bottom of the stairs and zoom up real quick. Because there's, again, only one way to get there. You're either coming from the outside at that point, from the outside stairs,
Yeah.
and the killer can, because the killer, you can't come up the downstairs if the killer's there. So he can either, yeah,
You'd have to try to sneak past them going on the outside stairs and head up.
yeah, but you're gonna have to walk past them to get there.
Well, actually, wait, let me think about this. There's three different stairs.
But that room has no stairs going up in it. So you either
No,
come
not
from the main stairs
directly.
inside.
Yeah.
There's the stairs that are also inside that would be behind the killer, and then there's the outside stairs. But if you go up the outside stairs, you still have to walk. You're still gonna have to walk past the hallway.
Yeah.
He's gonna see you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying if he's not blocking it though, you could at least trade.
You could try to run, but you're gonna take a hit.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
No.
No doubt. I'm sure that will get reported on. I think even though you found the hook, I haven't seen much on it. I think people just haven't found it yet.
I know Ott saw it because the
he
moment
did.
he realized the hook was there, he just stopped because he had like his testers behind him. He just stopped and he was like, try to get to the hook. And you just see everyone trying to go around him and just he completely blocked the whole hallway.
Rude.
So that's my only complaint. I don't know if they realize that. Like, I don't understand how, like, if you're like, oh, this room only has one entrance in and out. Oh, and it can be blocked if they stand by the door, or blocked if they stand halfway down the hallway, or blocked if they stand at the bottom of the stairs. I don't think they thought there.
Just take the hook out. It's a simple
Yeah.
solution. Like,
Yeah.
there's really.
You have basement in there. You already have hooks there.
Sometimes. It doesn't always
Sometimes.
spawn there. But yeah, but I mean, there's not really an issue, I feel like, of getting a survivor to a hook up there. You either break the wall and hop down with them, right? There's a way down besides going down the stairs. I think it's only an issue. I wonder if this is the issue. People trying to like boil over it, but flip flop boil over kind of build. But I don't see it that much. So I don't know. Just remove the hook. Just.
Yeah.
There's really not a good
Solution
spot up there for
or problem
it
solved.
because the hallways are too narrow. Like even outside, on the outside run, balcony, there's not enough space for a hook. They didn't design. If they were going to do that, they should have revamped the building to have wider hallways.
Or should have opened up that room and should have made a staircase
have
up
a really
to it.
weird wide door like they did on RPD. Like
yeah.
There you go.
I don't know what you guys thought about the map. That just the one thing I noticed was that hook.
Yeah, I did notice that when I went upstairs to like look around that there were some spots that you could get stuck in. So I think that was like the only big problem. Nothing else seemed to be an issue with the map redesign or rework or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was too different. There was like some new tiles and it was like, how do you run this? Like completely new. But overall, I don't feel like it was too different in that you still kind of had tiles in the same spot, if that makes sense. Like jungle gyms, or, I don't know what the new jungle gym would be called, but they were kind of in the same spot. The little building, like everything's kind of in the same area. There wasn't really a big like shuffle of anything, of structures. It seems like you just added a lot of stuff, if that makes sense. They opened up the entrance, like I said, so you don't have that long rock wall. They added a lot of skis, a lot of picnic benches, like between the building and like kind of the back tiles of like jungle gyms and stuff. I mean, it's fine. I don't feel like it's too different, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe
and
you should have ran
essentially,
windows
yeah.
on it.
I think essentially you can use kind of the clutter how we were using it is we were using it to evade hits. So like they were hitting the picnic tables or like the ski racks as we were trying to get to a tile. But it is one of the things like they did have, they did fix some of those unsafe pallets and stuff like that. But again, just I think like anything else, once you use those resources up, you're kind of really pushed to like the sides of the map. So you need to be mindful when you're running of using resources. But I feel like that was kind of a map where you always had to do that with those outside pallets. I think it's going to be a learning curve. I kept running into stuff because I'm so used to things being in different places. And we really were trying to figure out how to run some of those new tiles they had. But
I mean, they could just give us a new map and then.
you know what? I'm
I
glad
think
that
we're
you
getting
dream big.
we're getting that next full chapter. It's supposed to have a new map. Chapter
Thank
3
God.
and 1.
I just want a new map. That's all I want.
I don't know what it is, but we're getting a map. Hopefully it's good.
Hopefully. I think that's all. I think we've covered everything.
I think so.
Wow.
There was a lot, like as
We
far
talked
as
for like
developer.
2 hours.
Okay.
Nice.
We'll
Again.
see how we can edit that down.
I will try.
Well, we thank you guys for
Yeah.
coming, listening to our Alan Wake podcast.
Oh, I could do. Oh, we were talking about different podcasts earlier. I would do. It would have to be like a whole remedy.
Yeah.
I gotta get y'all to play and suck y'all in to
You know how I feel about scary games. I don't like them.
Would you watch me play it? Like if I
I
recorded?
mean,
Oh,
I'll
I
give it
would
a
totally
try.
watch you play it.
Oh man, I'm gonna need to restart my playthrough, I guess.
I would totally watch you play it. I'd have popcorn and candy and everything. It'd be like movie night.
Okay, I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll restart my playthrough. We need to
Yeah.
stop. We need to stop.
I guess we gotta close that. We just like talking, guys.
We
We've been
do.
trying to do this for
It's why we're here.
days and days, and stuff's been happening.
It's
So,
our adult time.
I know, but as always, we appreciate everyone who listens to our banter and me constantly mispronounce words with C's and S's. But as we like to say, we hope that you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And bye.
Bye.
Bye.